Hello and welcome to FTTR, I'm Ewan McQuaid, and you might think this is a bit of a redundant topic. However, it's the thing that I've been thinking about most since WrestleMania finished, since we saw The Fiend versus Randy Orton. Now, as you probably know, I love The Fiend. Pop vinyl over there, poster over there. I love the mythos and the lore behind The Fiend. I am a massive horror movie fan. I'm a massive slasher fan. One of my favourite albums is The Silver Screen, which focuses all on horror movies and slasher movies. I love horror and I love The Fiend. I love what Bray Wyatt has done with this character. However, since his debut, we have just seen him driven into the ground with pretty much no recovery. It is saddening and maddening about what has happened to Bray Wyatt. And you might think this is very similar to a video I did before, but I want to focus on how we can recover Bray. I really want him to be saved. I really want a good feud for him going forward, and I really want the Fiend to feel relevant again. So these are just a few pointers that I think WWE should do in order to rebuild the Fiend and everything that has surrounded him since pretty much he lost to Goldberg. I think that was when the damage really started. No, I take that back. It was probably Hell in a Cell 2019. So let's go back to the beginning. Why was The Fiend so cool? We saw his entrance, SummerSlam 2019. He made his debut against Finn Balor, and it was just incredible. The severed head, the smoke, the entrance theme, everything just gets you hyped for The Fiend. He was basically a new version, a modern day sort of hipster version of The Undertaker, and that was fine. That was exactly what we wanted. The mask was great, the costume was great. Wasn't the greatest in ring, but he's channeling Jason Voorhees pretty much. He's going to be slow, he's going to be methodical, but then he's going to switch up and be fast. That was what the Fiend was in that match with Balor. Going forward, we had some excellent Firefly Funhouse segments. We had, the Mr. Rogers style Bray Wyatt, which is really fun, yowie wowie and all that. That's really cool. Then he got derailed by Seth Rollins at Hell in a Cell 2019. That was one of the worst things to happen in professional wrestling that I've seen. Just seeing a character that fans loved and they were clinging onto in a product that was so drab just get ruined in an instant by having him be, effectively knocked out by Seth Rollins. And that is almost as damaging as what happened at this WrestleMania, in my opinion. Randy Orton beat him with an RKO. Just one RKO. This is the same Fiend who got up from numerous stomps, who, took out John Cena, granted in a cinematic match, but he effectively erased John Cena from WWE. The Fiend is so cool. That is what I'm going to keep coming back to. He's so cool. And in a stale as fuck WWE, he is a shining light. So how do I think they can proceed with The Fiend? I think possibly moving him to SmackDown. I think the star power, granted you need star power on Raw, because there's not a lot at the top of the card that feel like main event stuff. The Fiend did, but they have done everything to try and derail him and make him not feel like a star. So I think moving him to SmackDown might just give him the right amount of leeway, maybe a bit of creative freedom, because you see people like Daniel Bryan and Cesaro, fan favourites, getting this kind of push. Maybe The Fiend can get the same. However, maybe not. We saw what happened when he was on SmackDown last time with Braun Strowman. That wasn't great. I just don't think they understand how to book The Fiend. They've created him, they've come up with this amazing character, but they don't know what stories to put him in, and they just default to spooky, and that's not what we want. With The Fiend, we want psychological horror. To me, The Fiend is more Saw than he is Paranormal Activity, if that makes sense. I see him as a maniacal, crazy genius, more so than a supernatural monster. Maybe that's just how I envision him, and that's one of the good things about wrestling, is we can all have different takes. That's one of the good things about film, is we all have different readings of different films. But that's how I've always seen The Fiend since he debuted. He's just a crazy bloke. He's just crazy. He's not supernatural. So I think personally they need to drop that, and it doesn't look like they're doing that. You know, it looks like they're going headfirst into supernatural stuff with Alexa Bliss and all the black ooze and stuff. But I think they need to tone it down. They really need to tone down the supernatural stuff and make him feel like he is a real person, not just a monster. Granted, maybe they would go in the way of just making him a monster when they had, you know, burnt Fiend. But he's recovered now. He's regular Fiend again. I think drop the supernatural stuff. That's a win. And I think he just needs a good feud, and he's one that he can sink his teeth into. I don't want to see him drop all the way down, but personally, I think maybe have him feud with Sheamus going forward over the United States Championship. I get that the Fiend doesn't need a belt. I get that. But to have him in a feud with someone who doesn't have a belt might just be a bit of a relegation, because there's not a lot of options. He's feuded with Randy, he's feuded with Braun, he's not feuded with Drew, but Drew is feuding with Bobby. Who else do you have on Raw that he could feud with who is a big name? What, Matt Riddle? No, I think he's got to be Sheamus. I think Sheamus and the Fiend could have really hard hitting matches, and then you just slap the belt on the Fiend, just give him a long run, maybe even just, you know, he is just this maniacal bastard who is holding this belt hostage because he wants the prize, you know. He's just gone insane, he's driven himself insane. There's so many different avenues you could go down, eventually resulting in a Firefly Funhouse match with anyone on the roster. I'd like to see a Firefly Funhouse match with Sheamus. He's had a pretty long career. There's just a lot of different avenues that they could take, but I don't think they know the direction to take him. A lot of people are against him winning a belt in the first place. I'm not totally against that if they know how to beat him. Look at The Undertaker. You know, he had the world title and they were able to take it off him. They were able to have him be beat and not damage his credibility. You can do the same with the Fiend. But they've damaged his credibility a shit ton. An absolute shit ton. So where did he go from here? Where did he go? I don't know. Raw last night was abysmal. Not even last night. It was Monday just gone. It was abysmal. It was really bad. So the Fiend is the one shining light for me on Raw. I think there's a lot of great stuff on SmackDown. I love Roman, love Bryan, love Edge, all that stuff. But the Fiend is the one beacon of hope on Raw, because I'm not particularly into Bobby Lashley, I'm not particularly into Drew. And the Fiend is keeping me engaged, and if they ruin him again, I think Bray Wyatt, you just need to go. You just need to go at the end of the day, because they're never going to give you the push that you deserve. Let's be honest, you're watching a really ingenious creation be burnt to the ground. That's not what we want to see. So to wrap up my thoughts, what I think is that the Fiend, his next feud I think should be with Sheamus. I genuinely believe that. What else can they do with him on Raw? There's not a lot. So maybe move him to SmackDown. Or the dream, the absolute dream, have him show up in NXT. Maybe confront Balor again. Maybe even look at Cross and be like, I'm coming for you. That would be amazing. And then maybe Cross beats him. Oh. Anything NXT related can just, you know, send anyone down to NXT and it makes it better. But yes, those are my few pitches for the Fiend and how I think they can recover after what happened at WrestleMania 37. Let me know what you think of the Fiend. I'll try not to do any more Fiend videos because, you know, I do a lot of Fiend videos, but I just love the Fiend. Let me know down in the comments below what you think about the Fiend. How do you think you should go from here? I'll try and reply to every single comment. Thank you all ever so much and have a nice day.